Yo, welcome to the channel. Today I'm about to check out film theory. Not game theory. Red is sus. Okay, if I seem some type of way, some weird energy, bro, I don't know why, bro. For the past week, I have been sick AF, bro. Like I feel like I'm finna pass or something like that, or like I'm not hungry at all. But then I force myself to eat, and when I do, I just can't stop. It's weird. Damn, fuck. But yeah, I just said, if it, let me just try and take the time out to at least do one video a day at the very least. I'm sure you saw, like, I've been posting one videos a day, bro. Recorded all those videos, all those 5 videos in the span of a day, and I dropped them day by day. I usually drop them every 5 hours, but ever since this thing started, I don't know. I just had to find a way to push it so it kind of seems like I'm consistent, and I also have to put edits at the side, so to make it seem like I'm still like I love doing it. It's just easier. It's doing edits has been more or less easier to do than properly recording a video, cause damn. So yeah, with that said, let's find out why red is sus. I don't even know why red would be sus, because technically it all depends on the game, the player, the players, who the imposter is. So I don't really understand why you would take this route about it. Let's see why he would make sure red is sus. I haven't really played the recent, if there has been an update to Among Us. I haven't really played it, because last time I played it, it was around probably last year, and then they switched it up, the chatting system, and then after that I just stopped because of how terrible it was. And yeah, I don't know what Matt Pat is gonna do with this information that he found, but yeah, I don't know.
And then his mouth opened up and he had these.
Oh, my bad.
And then his mouth opened up and he had these
Okay.
jaws. Next thing I know, a sharp tongue shot out of his mouth and stabbed him right through the eye.
Can you describe who you saw?
Well, he was short, 2 stubby legs, little oval-shaped visor, kind of round at the top. Had a cute backpack.
Yeah, sure. We all look like that. What I'm
Exactly.
interested in is his color. What
Yeah,
color
what he looked
was
like.
he?
Excuse me.
But then
what?
again, there is that shapeshifter thing. I'm not sure if it's out, but I heard it's been out, so it's also gonna be hard if you give that description.
His color. What was his color?
I do not see the world that way, and I am more than a bit offended that you would ask me.
Damn, bro, this sickness is gonna ruin every laugh I have. That's funny, bro. I don't see the bro. But imagine if the title was "Why Black is Sus," then he has to be like, "Well, he was darker in tone." Oh, bro, that would have been gold, bro. But I love that he said, "I don't see the world in that light," because come on, bro, I love that.
Excuse me, what?
His color. What was his
Oh,
color?
and the cop is blue. So I'm not saying like if, but if the guy, if it said why black is sus, that I feel like for me personally, it would have been 10 times more hilarious. But for some, it'll be offensive, and
I do not see the world that way, and I am more than a bit offended that you would ask me a
Wow.
superficial question like that.
This is literally a world
Bro.
where we're all identified by our color.
colors.
Well, some of us like to think that we should be judged on the merit of our actions and not the color of our
Bro, but how are you gonna give the description then? Like, damn, like you can't, bro.
suits. Maybe one day you'll understand that. Good day, sir.
What the?
We lost our key witness. Let him go, boys.
What the? Oh. Ha! Black was in there.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game
Oh,
Theory,
I'm used
where
to
the
joking.
only sussy thing is not brutally murdering that subscribe button.
Okay.
Whoa, what are we doing here? An Among Us video? What is this, like 2020? Nope, no need to check the date on your watch page, loyal theorists. Today we're jumping back onto the Skeld with a new video on everyone's favorite multiplayer deduction game, Among Us. Why now, of all times? Honestly, it's because of the new Netflix movie, Glass Onion. There's an Among Us joke in like the first 10 minutes.
Okay.
I saw you go in the engine room. You're the imposter. We all know it.
You're thrown out of the airlock. It's a no-brainer.
I don't understand this at all.
Nothing like a shirtless
I
dude
gotta
breaking a
watch
bathtub
that,
to
actually.
help rekindle interest in your franchise, am I right? And not only is Among Us front and center, but for all us high IQ gamers, this short scene actually spoils a lot
Okay,
of
like
key
I've seen clips of this. I saw like a clip I haven't really seen the full thing, but it said something like this game that they were playing is a very important scene because that's what happens at the end or something like that. Something that's like this game has something to do with how the entirety of the movie turns out. It's like a whole movie more or less around Among Us. In a
Points for the
sense.
main mystery of the movie. To find out how exactly, we actually did a short on this over on Film Theory that you should go check
Yes,
out. Anyway,
yes, I saw that on Film Theory Shorts. Okay, fair play.
all that was enough to get me to pick up the game once again. And when I did, I was struck by one huge detail that we'd overlooked in our past theories on how to win the game. A detail that is perhaps the highest IQ strategy of them all. The one crucial detail that makes a massive difference in any match that you're playing, even before the imposter is selected, your color. You see, every single emergency meeting, you always hear a single phrase uttered. The iconic meme, red is sus. It has its own Urban Dictionary page, it's got its own t-shirt. Heck, it's even got its own 38 million view song from the channel Shiloh and Bros.
Okay.
In a game that's all about avoiding detection and not raising suspicion, hearing
Okay.
those words is practically a death sentence. So of course, it got my theorist cogs a-turnin'. Is red indeed sus? Well, obviously the actions of the player in the game are going to have a massive impact on whether they're
Exactly.
suspected or not. There are also a lot of subconscious variables that play in every match. Factors that affect the way that the game is going to go even before the imposter is chosen. Appearances do matter, and that's going to affect everything from job interviews in the real world to games of Among Us. And color is immediately one of the first traits that we see, which begs the question, is red actually the sussiest color in Among Us? What color is most likely to draw suspicion if you're the imposter? And best of all, what color choice is going to be the best at throwing off suspicion so your name isn't tossed around?
Okay, before he says anything, let me say if I'm going off top three most sus and then the bottom three least sus. Number one, I'd say red. Number two, black. Number two is black, me personally. Number three, I'd say it's purple actually. Purple is pretty yeah, it is really a sus color. Least sus, I'd put lime in there. Pink. And yellow. Then right in the middle, no, and cyan, and then right in the middle is yellow, white, a darker green. You're just shady, but I don't know.
During the next emergency meeting. Strap in, theorists, because I'm about to blow this whole airlock wide open. Now, I'm sure we're all familiar with the phrase, never judge a book by its cover, right? There's just one problem with that. It is fundamentally opposed to our programming as human beings. We are designed to make snap judgments based on immediate appearances. It is essentially a leftover survival instinct. If something looks dangerous, it's best to avoid it for our own survival. And one of the first factors that we're going to process is color. Color psychology is the study of how colors affect human mood and behavior. For
Okay.
instance,
Oh,
studies have
is
shown
it?
that white
Let me guess. He's gonna base it off the thing of like because, even animals, anytime they see a bright color, it's like if you like the combination. Like if I walked somewhere and I saw, I don't know, an insect, a frog that's black and red. Isn't that like a color that signals off warnings and something along those lines? It gives off like warning vibes of like, bro, do not F with me, do not mess with me right now, or you're gonna screw yourself over.
colored pills are associated with greater pain relief, and red pills are associated with stronger stimulant properties. Other
Okay.
studies have shown that the color red can prompt people to react with greater speed and force. Something as simple as color can even affect your performance on a test. When college students were given one of three colored numbers, red, green, or black, and then asked to take a simple test, those with the red numbers
Hey,
scored
booyaka,
more than
booyaka, six. I'm sorry, man. I thought I read Mr.
20% lower than those presented with either the green
Okay.
or black numbers. That is a huge difference, all from witnessing a different
Oh,
color
my bad,
prior
my
to
bad.
taking
Hold
the
on, hold on.
test.
What?
Scored more than 20%
My bad.
lower
I
than
didn't catch that. I quit.
on a
I just
test.
missed that.
When college students were given one of three colored numbers, red, green, or black,
Okay.
and then asked to take a simple test, those with the red numbers scored more than 20% lower than those presented with either the green or black numbers.
okay.
That is a huge difference, all from witnessing a different color prior to taking the test. On the complete other end of the spectrum, colors like blue have shown themselves to have a calming effect on people. Some studies have even shown that looking at the color blue literally release endorphins that help you physically calm down.
I forgot about
All
blue.
of these very real effects happening simply by looking at different colors. So, given that science has proven time and again that we have both physical and mental reactions to color, how can we use this knowledge to our advantage in a game like Among Us? Which color is most likely to trigger your crew members' suspicions? Well, believe it or not, but one of the most sus colors isn't red, it's actually yellow. This is backed by both science and history. Let's just cover the science first, shall we? Our eyes use two different types of photoreceptors, rods and cones. The rods are for vision at low levels of light. Cones, meanwhile, are the ones that are dealing with color. In fact, there are actually 3 different types of cones, each one with sensitivity to a different color range. Because 2 of the 3 have reasonably high sensitivities in the green range, humans are able to process more shades of green than any other color. But not all greens are created equally. When you break down our biological sensitivity to light, our eyes work best at the light wavelength of 555 nanometers. That means that under normal lighting conditions, our eyes are most sensitive to a yellowish green color. In other words, during an emergency meeting, if you're either green or yellow, you're going to be the one that your crewmate's eyes are naturally drawn towards. Making matters worse is that throughout human history, the color yellow has been associated with feelings of deceit and betrayal. Why? Well, to find out, let's just take a trip back to
I feel like I kind of hold myself. I feel like now I'm just an Among Us racist for just calling out those colors as trustworthy and non-trustworthy.
500 AD, when post-classical art was beginning to take shape. During this time period, artists were working hard to recreate scenes from the Bible.
But at
There
the
was
same time,
just
it's
one
preference
problem
as
with
well.
that. The Bible isn't very descriptive about what people were wearing. That meant that the artists had to make some creative choices. And one trend that stuck, they dressed Judas Iscariot, the disciple that betrayed Jesus and ultimately caused his
yellow.
crucifixion, in yellow. This appeared in so many works of art at the time that people just...
But now, if you say yellow and red is sus, what type of sus do you mean? Do you mean sus as in suspicious? Okay, nah, never mind, bro. They're coming from my neck. Christians are coming from my neck right
eventually
now.
began to associate
Damn,
the
my
color
man.
yellow with traitors and liars. In 16th century Spain, for
bro.
instance, they literally dressed
From,
those accused of
Breaking Bad.
heresy in yellow capes to show their betrayal to the Spanish Inquisition. And the color has lived in infamy ever since.
Banana!
You see? Don't you just want to yeet it out of an airlock? But then what about green? I just talked about how green is the color that pops the best for our eyes. Is that a sussy color too? No. At first glance, it certainly feels like green and guilt should go hand in hand. After all, it's the go-to color used by animation companies to show evil magic.
yeah.
Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty, Rasputin in Anastasia, Ursula in Little Mermaid, and Bruno's fortune-telling in Encanto. It's a color that's constantly associated with
Hey, the
treacherous
lich, let's
villains,
go.
strange potions, toxicity.
Fair-
That said, any
nice.
negative connotations of the color are far outweighed by its natural sense of
Okay.
calm.
Green is not a creative color.
Sure, it might not
Okay.
be, but it is a relaxing color.
I thought you were gonna go with that, take that Eminem route that you did before, saying it's it's that type of color for seduction.
In a 2020 study,
Even though it's
39%
red,
of
but-
people said that green made them feel relaxed and content. Again, this is one of those primal instinct things. Our bodies want to be in nature. We are programmed to eat nice green plants because green means health and vibrancy. It means safety. As such, we're naturally inclined to trust green things more than most other colors. So, green is good and yellow is sus. What other colors should we be on the lookout for? Well, in 2020, some researchers from University College London asked over 400 people to pick a color from a color generation website that they associated with feelings of guilt. Number 2 came in as black. And number 1 was our good old buddy, red.
Red.
Let's just start with black.
Okay.
You see, black is an interesting color. It's naturally paired with dark emotions like sadness, depression, and fear.
Yeah.
It also feels dark and shadowy, as if you're trying to purposely hide something. That said, it might be hiding too well. A study of what car colors tend to get into the most accidents showed that the riskiest
I'm just tripping.
car to drive is a black car because its darker colors make it blend in more with the surrounding area. So, in an emergency meeting, even though black is paired with more negative connotations, if you keep your mouth shut, you should be fine. That said, if someone
okay.
does bring up your name, be careful and play humble. Black is actually considered to give impressions of high authority and dominance. Think about black belts in martial arts or the black diamonds on ski slopes.
That's
Both
dangerous,
show
though.
a level of mastery and skill. You
Yeah.
are one of the elite. It's why villains humans wear black. Same thing for judges. It puts them into positions of power and authority, which is why lawyers actually recommend that their clients do not wear black to court, because it doesn't give people the impression that you're innocent or willing to listen. Instead, it makes you look powerful, aggressive, and in those contexts, guilty. Something that you're also looking to avoid in an emergency meeting. Which now brings us back to where this whole question first started, red. How sus is red? Well, in addition to being highly associated with guilt like black and being a bright visible color like yellow, red has a few other things that are working against it. First, red is obviously the color of danger and warnings.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, seeing red makes you perform worse on tests. Red can also cause heart rates to rise and blood pressures to increase. All of these things are going to be working against your ability to convince others that you're innocent. But what deals red another killing blow is the psychological phenomenon called the recency effect. If it wasn't obvious, the recency effect is about how humans remember the most recent information they're presented with best. A Harvard University study showed that approximately 4 pieces of information can be held in short-term memory at a given time. This is because most information in short-term memory only lasts between 15 and 30 seconds, meaning that people are going to tend to rely more heavily on the last few things they've seen when making a decision.
I mean, fair play. I can't. Not that I guess it does work with Among Us. Like the last thing you see. I mean, yeah, fair play. Not never mind. There's nothing I can say on this. Fair play. Yeah, true.
How's that at all related to Among Us? Well, both the emergency meeting button and the animation it creates use the color red, which immediately gets people thinking about that color in a negative and suspicious light. Red is the color on the top of everyone's mind going into the meeting because it's the one that they literally just saw flash across the screen. But the final nail in Red's coffin, the psychological effect of priming. Priming is...
Before we get to priming, at the same time, if you properly pay attention, I guess subconsciously red is always there, like for the most part in Among Us. But at the same time, you can't use that as your judgment. I'm not saying that's what you're implying. I'm just saying that even if it's there, flashing there most of the time, even when you're not paying attention, it's just there subconsciously. You still can't really jump the gun and be quick to assume that it's red. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he was assuming that. I'm just giving my points.
Mind going into the meeting because it's the one that they literally just saw flash across the screen. But the final nail in Red's coffin, the psychological effect of priming. Priming is when you expose the brain to something which then influences how you react to something else. Probably best explained through an example. If I show you these 3 words, noodle, bowl, stew, and then I ask you to complete this word, S blank blank P, what do you think you're gonna say? Science shows that you're most likely to say the word soup over the other completely acceptable answer of soap. Because
Okay, fair play. Let me guess, it's because of correlation of how all these 3 correlate and what they somewhat make. Yeah, of course it's soup, bro.
You've already activated a bunch of words in your brain around the idea of soup. Noodle, bowl, stew. Your brain has been primed to think about soup. If I had done the exact opposite and said bath, bubble, shampoo, now I'm able to switch your brain's priming and you would have been more likely to have thought soap first. It can also be something as simple as saying the phrase, I've always subscribed to the belief that soup is better than stew. By saying the word subscribe, I've actually primed you for that idea so that later in the video, when I ask you to subscribe,
I was just thinking that, low-key.
Anyway, how does any of this apply to Among Us? Well, red is front and center in the game's artwork. He's the icon for the game on Twitter. He is the first color that people think...
I think I should start saying that, those little subtleties in the video, just to... Okay.
When they think of characters from this game. And not only is he the most prominent, he's also the most likely to be visualized as the imposter in all the marketing. Take a look at their holiday merch page. The first thing you see is Red as the imposter with fangs and a long tongue. There are 2 t-shirts with Red having an imposter shadow or holding a knife. Heck, the official Among Us VR page on Steam has Red standing over a dead crewmate telling us to keep our mouths shut. Everything is priming your brain to connect the idea of Red and imposter, so that when the time comes to suggest who to yeet out of the airlock, Red is always going to be the one that people pay attention to and throw under the bus. So if your goal when you become the imposter is to win, the best thing to do is start steering clear of red, black, and yellow. All of this being said, what color should you be picking if you don't want to immediately be called out? Well, there are 2 routes depending on your gaming style. If you're an experienced player who wants to be involved in the emergency meetings, choose blue. Not only does the color blue release relaxation endorphins into the brain, it's also the color that science repeatedly shows rose is the most closely associated with trustworthiness. There is, however, one more solution that can keep you out of trouble, and that's by staying out of the minds of your fellow players.
Okay.
In 2021, the game updated to add 6 more colors to the roster: maroon, rose, coral, gray, tan, and banana. No, stop it. Now, based on everything we've
Oh no,
talked
the
about today,
Symphony
any
won
of
when I
these
last
could be a
played.
winning choice. Why? Because their strength is the exact opposite of Red's weakness. While Red is the poster child for all things Among Us, none of these new colors have really seen the light of day, and they're played significantly less than any of the primary colors. In 2021, Innersloth released their statistics around the most and least played colors. Red, black, white, and rose were the top 4, while gray, maroon, brown, and tan were rounding out the bottom.
Ooh.
Banana and coral, meanwhile, were mixed into the lower middle. In short, all that means is that these new colors aren't primed for anything. And because they're not bright primary colors, they don't come with strong pre-packaged emotional connotations. Pastels are just softer colors, and as such, they evoke softer emotions. They're light and delicate. They're the supports
They're
rather
not
than
really
leads.
noticed.
In meetings, you want people to focus on the big, loud orange guy in the corner, not the little old cream-colored you standing quietly off to the side. Tan, for instance, being a lighter version of brown, gives a sense of dependability and stability, and in design is used more as a background color. It's unassuming, which is perfect when you don't want people to start thinking about what you've been doing in the game. Meanwhile, gray is your other best choice. It's also a pale color, but unlike banana and tan, it doesn't evoke feelings of anything, really. Gray is just the most blank of blank canvases. Also, have you taken a look at the maps recently? They all lean heavily into the grays as a color choice, which makes a lot of sense. It's a lot of machinery, spaceships, space stations, all things made out of
Too
gray metals.
robotic
Other
in a
characters
sense.
will notice a green character running past them, but gray, not so much. And this holds true in real life, too. Gray cars are actually the second least likely to be noticed on the roads because they blend in with their surroundings. So, there you have it. If you want to give yourself the best chance of not being called sus, your best choices are the newer, lighter colors like gray, tan, and banana.
right.
These are going to be doing the best job of keeping you out of the interrogation spotlight as long as you manage to keep your mouth shut. Blue, meanwhile, is a strong secondary choice, especially if you plan on being a more active player. But the biggest takeaway of all is that the memes are true. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Top dog of sussiness is in fact the king of the memes, Red. Not just because he's popular, but because people naturally associate Red with guilt, with warnings, and because Innersloth has
Yeah,
been
Vince said
sabotaging
that.
Red every single game from the start with their
They
marketing.
make him
It's
way too
not just a
suspicious.
meme, it's science and psychology. But hey, well, it's certainly useful to know every possible strategy on how to kill off your crewmates one by one. Gotta admit, it's a little inefficient. Imagine what sort of strategies you could pull off if you had a whole army of imposters. Fortunately, thanks to today's sponsor, you don't
Okay,
have to
yeah.
imagine
Shout out whatever this is. In fact, I'm not getting the paper to this, so I'm gonna get that ish back. And golly, bro, like this is more or less what I had said in the beginning, what I had said the first time, cause yeah, the whole warning signs. If you see this in the wildlife or in the forest, in the jungle, in the desert, in the Sahara, y'all get the gist. If you see that, it's more or less a warning sign of, bro, get the F out of here before I mess you up, essentially. And right now, after this video dropped, depending on how many views they got, all those lesser known colors are definitely gonna be seen as the most sus at this point in time, because if he had just informed them, bro, I swear, if I get that game back and I check all the servers and that, I have a feeling that a lot of them will either A, just carry on with what they were doing, they don't really care that much, or B, damn, take what he said into consideration and more or less use the lesser known colors or lesser used colors, which for now I feel like will be the most used colors of any other one. So yeah, I don't know what else to add to that, other than the fact that it's hard to breathe right now, so I'm just trying to, you know, put it in, force it all in. So yeah, I think this is I ain't cussed this video. Wow, I think this is the first time, low-key. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know which other video to check out. I'm gonna do so. But for now, I'm gonna go. I don't know. I'm gonna make myself, I don't know, some tea or whatever voodoo shit. Ah, damn, I cussed. Yeah. So with that said, I'm gonna see you guys when I see you guys. So, see ya. Damn, boy. I can't breathe, waiting for the exhale. Toss my pain and my wishes and I wishing well, still not alive. Oh, well. And I'm trying even though I know I'm gonna fail. Just never had like I feel. Cookie got me itching like an heel. Drugs yelling me softly, Lori Hill. Sometimes I don't know how to feel. Sometimes I don't know how to feel. Let's be for real. If it wasn't for the things on me, if I could do all these, yeah. I just told you my secret, yeah. Damn, boy. This is the part where this is the part where I tell you I'm fine, but I'm lying. I just don't want you to worry. This is the part where I take all my secrets and hide them, cause I know it, cause I don't want nobody to hurt me. I can't.